Valley Center City Council meeting for March 15th, 2022 is now in session. Roll call.
Mayor Cicerillo.
Here.
Councilmember Stam.
Present.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Bass.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory. Here. Councilmember Kerstetter.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray, if I could just say to you, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministerial Alliance, just like to say thank you for the privilege of having this time and opening up your meeting together. So I just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to do this and the privilege of it. Let's pray. Father God, we come before you tonight, not on our merit, but on the merit of your Son. And we thank you for your great grace and your great gift of eternal life in Christ Jesus and the hope that we have in you. I pray for this council tonight as they conduct the business of our community, that you would help them, that you would guide them. Thank you for Proverbs 22:1 that says a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver and gold. Father, I pray that we would not conduct our life by the allurement of riches, but God, by character and by integrity and by how we want to represent our community and represent our name. And so we give you praise. I ask your blessing, your favor over their households and their families in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, excuse me, Council, we have actually two changes to the agenda. One is highlighted for you under new business resolution, item G under new business, and I do have a proclamation to read.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, administrative agenda of City Council meeting minutes from March 1st, 2022.
Move to approve the minutes of the March 1st, 2022 regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Presentations and proclamations. I had been handed a last-minute proclamation. This is not ours, but it is today the governor of Kansas has declared March 15th, 2021 as Kansas American Legion Day. And I'm going to read this as written as by the governor. And mind you, this is from the governor. As she presented the proclamation, Governor Laura Kelly praised the 102-year-old Veterans Service Organization, the largest in the nation, for its continued work to aid wounded warriors and military families, for Legionnaires' legacy of community volunteerism, and for the organization's significant role in establishing important national legislation. The American Legion remains today an active and vigorous advocate for service members, veterans, and their families, not only on Capitol Hill, but right here in Kansas. Among its greatest legislative achievements was the enactment of the GI Bill of Rights. The initial draft of the GI Bill was written by Legionnaires at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. Many consider the GI Bill as one of the greatest pieces of legislation ever enacted. The American Legion was founded in Paris, France, by members of the American Expeditionary Force and chartered by the United States Congress as a wartime veterans organization based on the 4 pillars of Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation: national security, Americanism, and child and youth. Over the past 102 years, the American Legion has become preeminent community service organization. Mari Krupko, Commander, Department of Kansas American Legion, expressed her gratitude for the proclamation, and they were very grateful to Governor Kelly for her fine efforts in establishing March 15th as a Kansas American Legion Day. With the current membership of over 40,000 family members and over 500 Kansas American Legion posts, units, and squadrons promoting a variety of programs that support the goals of the American Legion. The state of Kansas acknowledges with profound appreciation the special role that the American Legion members play in supporting our nation's wartime veterans and the four pillars. And I personally can't thank the veterans and all the groups that work for the veterans enough. So, which is why I wanted to read that. So, okay. Now we're going to move on to the public forum. This is the time during the meeting that anybody here in the audience that would like to speak to an item that's not on the agenda. Seeing none, no appointments. Moving on to old business. Item A, ordinance 1372-22 rezoning.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading of the ordinance. Again, this will rezone two lots that were the former library from R1B, which is our single-family residential district, to C1 Central Business District.
Questions from council? Motion.
Motion to approve for second reading, ordinance 1372-22 regarding rezoning the property located at 321 West First Street, Valley Center. Second.
A motion and a second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item B, ordinance 1373-22, amended ordinance 1357-21.
I'll stand for any questions.
Council?
Motion for approval of ordinance 1373-22, amending ordinance 1357-21 for second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Business line item A, Lions Club Main Street closure request. I really don't think you need to get up. I mean, we all know that they have their yearly car show here and are asking again to go ahead and close the road. So,
Yep. And actually, Mayor and Council, I did talk with Mr. Ron Black last week when he brought this in and invited him to attend this evening. This is actually going to expand this year what they currently have had closed down in previous years. The reason for that is due to the size that the event has grown to. And so they are asking for additional roads being closed. Of course, Public Safety Director Lloyd Newman has been in favor of this event and continues to support the Lions Club, as a lot of us are members of this organization as well. And so, we don't see any problems with adding in the additional spots on Ash and some of these park areas. So we find it very feasible and doable as far as public works, public safety, and we'll make sure that all public safety vehicles can pass through if need be. Stand for any questions.
council?
Make a motion of approval to close Main Street on September 16th, 2022 from 3 to 9 p.m. for the Lions Club Car Show.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Councilmember Kerstetter has a question.
It's just a statement.
Or statement.
They're ahead of schedule this year.
Yeah.
Usually we get in the summer, so good job.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Item B, Kansas Collegiate Baseball Association funding request.
Good evening, Council. My name is Sheldon Howe. I'm the president with the Valley Center Mud Daubers. First and foremost, thanks for having me out again. It's been an honor to be able to kind of serve the community and continue to have our baseball team here every single summer. We've been having a lot of fun. I believe this is actually going to be year 5 for us. So kind of a special one for us there. But just a quick little league update, just so everybody's kind of on the same page with the KCLB. We've had a couple of movements with teams this year. So there's a new organization that's actually started in El Dorado that we're going to be playing against this year, which is nice. And then one of our teams moved from Wichita to Winfield. So we're trying to kind of encompass the small communities with the baseball teams. So just in the summertime to get that kind of hometown feel across all of the teams like we have here in Valley. So we're excited about that. A couple of updates just from last year in the summertime of some of the things that we were able to do. We were able to put on our kids camp last year, which was a huge success. It's a big one for us every single year. To be honest, I think it's probably the biggest kids camp out of the entire league, which is awesome. So we partner with the rec department with that. We invite everybody to come out. It's completely free for the youth community. So I think we average roughly around 80 to 85 kids that come out to the camp. So it's a lot of fun. Our guys get to socialize and getting back into the youth community. So we enjoy doing that. One thing that we've already scheduled our youth camp for this year. So that is on the books and ready to go. One thing I'm working with the high school on with both Chris and then also Matt is we're trying to do a kind of a give back this year for the high school baseball program. And don't quote me on the verbiage here because we don't know exactly what we can call it as far as like CASHA rules and things like that. But whether it'll be a clinic, a camp, a scrimmage, whatever the right verbiage, excuse me. We're going to try and do that at the beginning of the summer. It's kind of like a kickoff kind of game. So the high school kids that are here in the community get to play against the college guys that come in that stay in the community in the summertime and try to build a little bit of a tradition with that. And that will be a complete donation back to the high school program. So everything we're able to raise there, we're going to try and give back to that program. So we're working on that. Like I said, not 100% nailed down just yet, but a couple other things we were able to do last summer, which we had a lot of fun doing. We were able to work with the Moving Wall Foundation. We had a give back night for them. We did police and fire night last year, which was a lot of fun. Had those guys out there and honored them as well. So we're looking to schedule that again and do those types of things. We want to continue to grow those types of community events and try and get more of the community involved with the team. So that's kind of the premise anyway of what we're trying to do. We really want to try and become that household name in the summertime where all the kids in the community come out, they get to watch baseball, they get to have fun outside and just enjoy the game and be around all of our guys that we bring in. I think that in Valley Center, we have one of the most attended, summer teams that is kind of around our state anyway. There's some that have been around a little longer and a little bit bigger, but we're growing and we're trying to continue to grow and put a better product out there every single year, continuing to try and find host families and get more into the community with different businesses and just, all of the above really. So you can I have in here just kind of an expense update. It goes through all of that just kind of for the team things and just making sure that you guys are on the same page with those things there. I won't dive into all of them, but and then it goes into the formal ask. So this year we kind of put together 3 different ideas and really we're open to discussion on anything that you guys would want to see with the team, any types of events you would like to see out there. A couple of things that I have noted on my sheet that I left out of that there. For the different price points and the different things that we would ask. Our big thing is trying to create more events out there, right? So for example, if we did a Valley Center chamber night, or if we did a Valley Center council night, or just a Valley Center night, whatever we would come up with creative names there, we would like to do that, offer it completely free for the public with sponsorship and be able to give back to the community some way, somehow, maybe do a donation that night to some, giving organization, something along those lines, right? So we're just trying to, continue to grow, continue to provide an entertainment option for the people, something that's family friendly, something that's a lot of fun in the summer times, and continue to grow there. So we kind of put some different asks on there, different ideas. But like I said, we're open to any questions, suggestions. I think the number one thing for us is that we want to continue to be community involved and we want the community to want to be involved with us, right? That's the only way that something like this grows. And I think we're on the right track. I think it's moving in that direction for sure. But, we're always open to new suggestions, new ideas, anything that you guys see that might be, as the city changes and other things happen. Like I said, we want to be involved in those and try to give back as much as possible. I always say this. I've talked with the rec quite a bit this year, and I'm going to go to their parent meeting that's coming up here soon. But we're going to try and get our guys working for the rec in the summertime a little bit and be a little bit more involved with the chamber. Year to year, I get better at what we're doing. So I find that I can get some different people and put different people in places, which allows me a little bit more time other than just to do baseball all the time. So we're sponsoring chamber or lunch tomorrow. So we're going to be involved with that a little bit and just try to really kind of hit the ground running with some of those things. But yeah, so I'll stand for any questions. If you guys have anything there, I would love to answer anything and then let you guys know if we have anything else or any ideas.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Is the games going to be at the same location?
At the field right behind the middle school, or
Yep.
intermediate, excuse me.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
changed.
And then, so whatever amount we donate,
Yeah.
what's going to be our return on investment?
Yeah, so we kind of threw a couple of ideas.
Okay, so not what we see on the screen right here.
Right. Yeah. So big thing for me is, as far as the involvement is concerned, it kind of just depends on what you guys would like to do. Number one, right? So the very first number thing is going to be like number of tickets, and then how we can go about like pumping that out into the community, right? Because our goal is we want as many people to come to our game as possible. And then I think helping different initiatives that are going to be inside of what we have going on is kind of that next step. Right? You know, what's happening that we want to bring light to, or maybe it's something that we want to have, for example, right? We do a lot of like first pitches. We bring people out and they get to throw the first pitch. It's a cool experience that you just don't get all the time, right? So special things like that, doing different things to honor maybe an employee of the year, you know, that type of stuff. I mean, just any creative ideas that we can come up with from an experience standpoint, that's typically where we kind of lean to. But, you know, the one thing that's like not on there is like we have like a buyout structure that we have that essentially just covers the costs of what it costs to put an actual baseball game on, which I can tell you to a T is almost $800 per game. And that's what we charge for like our buyout nights. So like for local businesses, small businesses, things like that, that want to set up a tent, do some marketing, give back things, you know, things like that. That's what we charge for those. So, and really, we're an open book. I mean, honestly, I mean, we want to be able to grow that partnership and continue to make it something that's enriching this community. Our big thing is giving back as much as possible. I'd like to do more kids camps. I'd like to do more things in that realm. It's just hard to be able to do because it costs time, money, energy to be able to do it all. And, you know, so that's where I always kind of lean to is like, how can we help youth community first? And then if there's smaller organizations or different people that are trying to do something, Moving Wall last year was one thing we tried to be involved with, you know, so just things like that. I mean, anything that we can do to give back there, we want to try and do. So.
How much did we budget?
Currently, we have in the budget $2,000, the same amount as last year, and that covers the field rental for the entire season. So that's what we have in the budget for you all.
So if we could get the school board to donate the field rental, then they could use that $2,000 for something else.
However you all want to see it.
I think he's been down this road with the school board. How about that?
I publicly said it, though.
Okay.
I have nothing further.
Anybody else? Anybody? Councilmember Anderson.
So we've hosted family baseball players. Our family has. We aren't going to be able to this year. I haven't talked to Sheldon about that, but logistical issue. And I've been in the past been in favor of us supporting them with whatever our council will be in favor of. I think it's a great opportunity to get young people in the community. The involvement with host families is lasting. We still talk to all of our kids that we've hosted. I know that it's true with other families that have hosted. The connection with the kids when they have the camps. My kids have talked about that as they've grown up. It's the last 5 years they've gone to them. So I'm in favor of this, whatever the council will support. And I think it's a good endeavor.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I guess I should add, I agree with Mr. Anderson. Both of my kids attended your camp last year. It was great. Just, yeah, it's fun watching. I would be in favor of giving a little bit more if we have the room in the budget, but $2,000 is what we budgeted already. So, motion verbiage is might need help with. Motion to donate $2,000 to the Valley Center Collegiate Baseball Association or team.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? Just like to say, you know, they are 501c3, so if any of us feel like they need some more money, we can always donate ourselves too.
Thanks, sir.
All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you.
Good luck on the rest.
Item C, HVAC service request approval, Mr. Owens.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packets this evening, there is a request for HVAC maintenance services agreement. The agreement in the packet is for a 2-year contract with a 2-year option to continue that contract if we're satisfied with their services as we move forward for a total of 4 years. The price is $23,913, and the low bidder was AirServe of North Wichita. Stand for any questions.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I've never heard of AirServe. So do they have any recommendations or letters of recommendation or something like that? I saw that they were national.
References.
References. Thank
References.
you. My brain is
Well,
not.
that's okay. It took me a while to get the right in my head too, so.
So the process that I went through, since they were the low bidder, is I brought them in, I discussed, took them around to all of our buildings, wanted to ensure, because Brian's Heating and Air has been a longstanding, they've done longstanding business with us, and we are sad to lose them. I mean, being a hometown, business, the purchasing policy does allow that if they're within 20% of the low bid, that we can still choose that option. They were beyond that. So we looked at AirServe for that reason, because they did have such a good price. They do offer services. They are maybe a little smaller than what Brian's operation is based on what I got from them. They're a very family oriented group. They've got several years of service in the business. The gentleman that I met with had, I think he said over 30 some years. He knew what he seemed to know what he was talking about. I felt very confident in their abilities to do this work. We would be their fourth bigger customer, like what we would have to maintain. They typically focus more on residential. They don't get into a lot of big installs like some of the heating and air groups in Wichita do. So we're right in where I feel like we would need to be with them. I mean, to be well served. Their response times. They had no problem meeting our response times. Brian's typically has been able to respond within a day, maybe the next day at the worst. So they had no problems meeting that. So I felt very confident in their abilities to meet our needs here for the city.
Councilmember Evans.
That cost of the $23,913, is that a cheaper route with the 4 years?
It's a combined amount for the 4 years. When you compare them all across the board in your packet there was, maybe I'm not understanding.
So just for 2 years, it'd just be half that price then?
Not exactly, because their first 2 years were a little less, and then the second 2 years, it went up just slightly. So the first 2 years was $5,861.22, and the last 2 years was $6,095.67 per year. Some of them bid it straight across, an equal amount for each year. These guys did it a little differently.
Good, thank you.
Question I have is the majority of our stuff is based on the home. I mean, we don't have heavy duty industrial units really, do we?
City Center probably gets into some of the bigger units, but really we don't get into a lot of the industrial stuff.
The heavy, yeah, none of them are
Chillers and things like
chillered
that.
or none of that. They're mostly the basic air conditioner that just may be larger in size.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of package units. We've got like 30 some odd pieces
Okay.
across the board. So.
Councilmember Anderson.
I may have missed it in the packet. What do we typically have for a length of time for a service contract? Like in the past with Brian's, have we had a 4 year? Has it been shorter?
Been an annual.
Okay.
Essentially, we just go year to year with them.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
What was Brian's last year in comparison? And did it cover the same amount of buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was essentially this contract was based on the same type of work we've been doing with Brian's.
Okay.
And that's how I put it out in the bid packet.
Okay.
Their last year was, and they hadn't raised rates on us for a few years, and they had to kind of do some reevaluating, but it was in the, I want to say it was, I don't have the exact number, but it was like in the 5,000, mid 5,000 range.
Okay.
And they had to go up a little bit because of some inflation and have not raised rates, keeping up with.
Is this a standard contract for this kind of work? Does our attorney need to look at it?
No.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Councilmember Gregory.
This is a budgeted expense, isn't it? Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wilson.
Great question.
Just, Neil, real quick, just for clarification, I want to make sure before a motion's taken here, it is a 2-year contract with an option for another 2 years after that, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just looking at the way the motion's laid out here is a 4-year price of that. So thank you, sir.
I'm going to say this because I think a lot of us are thinking it. I think we're all a little disappointed that Brian's is not in the ballpark, I think is really what a lot of these questions were part of, because we do kind of tend to want to support local businesses. But so I just wanted to throw that out there.
I went to bat for them, making sure that they knew, they were aware of our new purchasing policy, that that there was the 20% language in there, so that they were understanding of where, with being fair to all the bidders, that so that they knew that there was that provision for a local business. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we have a motion? Oh, hold on a second. Councilmember Bass.
So if we've done an annual contract in the past, so why are we kind of looking to move to the 2-year contract?
Well, with the change in the purchasing policy, this is why we've moved to this.
Okay.
Mhm. It specifies what we need to be, we're doing things a little differently in that regard.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Motion for approval of contract from lowest qualified bidder, AirServe of North Wichita for AVAC for the total of 4-year price of $23,913.78 and authorization mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item D, approval of RFP construction manager for Pool Rec Center.
God bless you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here before you is a request for a proposal for a construction manager for the Pool and Rec Center. I was hoping to have this for you last meeting, but boy, we have been a little busy. And so this would go out if approved before you this evening, of course, with the changes. We did get a comment back from Councilmember Gregory. We appreciate the changing that to Central Daylight Time instead of Central Standard Time. So that correction has been made. As you've seen in your packet, this one was the draft, and so that will be made, as well as any other changes before sent out tomorrow if it's approved. What this does is lays out the timeline as well as the project. Looking for a contract manager to work in conjunction with the next item on your agenda, the architect engineering firm, to come up with really taking that concept that the voters passed and approved in 2020 and really going through the nuts and bolts of it, and then coming out with the final product at the end of this. This would be a guaranteed maximum price, which is that GMP that you've seen in the packets, both of them. And so there will be a guaranteed maximum price on these projects, not to exceed. Here you see is a timeline that's going to be identical as the next one in your packet, with the release coming, like I said, yesterday or tomorrow, hopefully March 16th, and then having those proposals due by April 15th. And then, of course, sent out to the committee. Our Pool and Rec Committee is really excited to get this project underway and move to the next phases in this exciting time in Valley Center. Next one will be reviewing the week of the 25th of April, and then the interviews with the committee the week of May 9th, and then the interviews by council during their May 17th council meeting, and then hopefully having all those things done, wrapped up, and put in a bow by June 7th for a contract to council. Questions?
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Absolutely. It's in the budget.
RFP, we don't have this. This isn't the spending money yet.
So the first round of the committee,
Yes.
who was it that helped us? That, was it an architecture or an engineering firm that?
And so that was an architect,
Okay.
an architect firm, consultant. They had some engineers probably as well that looked at it. And so what we did was to get it on the actual ballot, we entered into kind of the first phase. And so that's a part of this. If you read the RFP, and it will be attached to it, is that document that we paid for in 2020. And so LK Architecture and Lamprey Nearson were the ones that were approved, and we went through that first really concept phase, marketing material to really get it over the hump with the voters. And then that packet, it's a lengthy PDF, will be attached, of course, on our website with this as well.
Okay.
And so we really appreciate all their efforts. Of course, there'll be one that teams up, with themselves, to submit one, I'm sure of it. As well as this here, though, will be more for the contractors and for the contract management side of things.
Okay,
So you'll have two separate
got it.
RFPs. And so this one is for the construction management first, and then next one will be for the engineer architect. And so this one, just so, kind of sum it up real quick, this one is a contractor that's in the field that's like, okay, architect, engineer, that's great that you want this type of ceiling tile. Well, hey, your guys' budget only allows for A, B, or C, not D, E, F, or whatever that they want as the architect side. And so then they come together and they both work for you as the council and really with the committee. So we don't have an architect first and then, coming up with everything, then going to a contractor. We have everyone working kind of as a triangle with the committee, who's represented, of course, the council. All decisions will absolutely ultimately be yours, but we did want to have the committee score all the proposals and then have it narrowed down, of course, for the council to make the ultimate decision.
I make a motion of approval of request for proposal of construction manager for Pool Rec Center.
Second.
In a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
All right.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Item E, approval of RFP for architectural engineering Pool Rec Center.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had a few cups of coffee as normal. Here before you is the same thing you just passed approved, but this one's for architect and engineering firm to go ahead and run at the same time frame, basically, as the construction manager. I thought that would be the simplest way to keep everybody straight and also confused at the same time, which I appreciate. And so this is really what, like Lamprey Nearson and LK they would be the ones that would fall underneath this AE for the design and really get into the weeds of everything. Before, what they gave us were really just estimates, and this is what the market looks like today. Of course, with inflation and where we're at, those prices will change, but really getting all these people on board with moving us to the next step. Stand for any questions.
Councilmember Wilson.
Again, Brent trying to get the pool before the horse. Thank you, sir. That's all I have to say. On to the motion.
I appreciate that. That's great.
I make a motion of approval of request for proposal for architecture engineer for Pool Rec Center.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I sure hope not. All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. See, now he waits till I announce. That's how it works. Item F, approval of mower purchase. Mr. Owings.
He hasn't had that much coffee.
That's true. He also didn't drive back from, was that today you drove back? Yeah, so yeah.
Good evening again. This evening in your packets, the second item I have for you all is a request to purchase and replace the two existing mowers that we have with two comparable similar mowers, Hustler mowers, as identified in the memo request. The low bidder was Dan's Cycle out of Heston. The amount was $547, and that does include our trade-ins with this purchase. Stand for any questions you might have.
So Councilmember Kerstetter has a question.
They are budgeted.
Of course I do. However, would you go to the
Yes.
motion on the, because you said 21,000 and it's got 23,000.
Huh?
The motion.
Motion, I'm reading says 21.
Oh, okay. The one I have reads 23.
It was amended.
Oh, I didn't print the amended version.
Amended one. Yeah, that was
gotcha.
one of the amendments.
Okay. It happens.
Councilmember Wilson.
So Neil, since we're replacing these with the exact type of mower, do you feel like the Hustler, that style has held up well?
It has. We've generally traded them out about every 7 years. They've made minimal changes to the ones we've purchased over the years, and these have been very, very solid mowers. The only thing we've really changed in our use of these mowers was we've gone down in size a little bit because we do have a tractor pulled triple deck mower that we use to cut the wide open spaces. So these 60-inch mowers work really well cutting in and around like trees and smaller, tighter spaces. They fit on the trailer well. We used to run 72-inch deck mowers beforehand, before we had the wider mower, and these served us very well. So,
Has this gentleman or this company been a winner before in the bid on these?
Dan Cycle, no.
Okay.
No. Previous bidders were Kansas Golf and Turf, and then Hale Sales, the other one in there. We've done business with both of those in the past. So, but
Thank you.
these were a new one.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I had one more question. This is a budgeted item, correct?
It is.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Move to approve the purchase of 2 Hustler Super Z Hyperdrive riding mowers from Dan Cycle, amount of $21,547. Price includes trade-in of 2 mowers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item G, Resolution 714-22, support a state-owned mental health hospital. Council, don't get up. I got this one. I'm going to kind of throw either Councilmember Gregory or Colbert here kind of under the bus, because I know they were going to talk about what happened here in this meeting, but since it's an agenda item, during the SCAC meeting on Saturday, we had Commissioners Metzner and Cruz there, and we got on the subject of mental health. Reading in the paper, and in the way I had interpreted all this, was that the county is going to is looking to put together a mental health complex to kind of put all of their eggs into one area basket. And the state had been looking, the state reported that they were 200 beds short in the mental health facilities that they have in Larned and Osawatomie. So the suggestion was to have the state build a 50-bed hospital in Sedgwick County. Well, somehow, somewhere, our wise representatives in Topeka made that terminology as to Sedgwick County is going to take over mental health for Sedgwick County and not want any part of the state's funding, which was absolutely not at all the way I read it or interpreted it. So really what was decided, there was actually 10 mayors at that meeting, which was pretty cool, in order to make sure that the state legislatures understand the principle behind what we're doing, that hopefully all the cities in Sedgwick County, but I know at least the 10 of the cities that were there, we're going to put a resolution together to the state. It needs to be, the reason it was last minute is because it's time sensitive. It needs to get there this week. And the Sedgwick County Association, Laura Rainwater, will be putting all this together and shipping this out to our state representatives. And it's just to show that we all agree that, yes, there's a mental health crisis. yes, there's needs for more beds, and that we think, and really we're going to take the word Sedgwick County out of that and put South Central Kansas needs a facility. So that's basically what this is all about. Just asking for an approval. Councilmember Kerstetter.
So if we're doing South Central, why does it have Sedgwick County?
I know, but they're going to, it's in there as Sedgwick County, but it's going to be, they really doesn't matter. It's not necessarily Sedgwick County.
Okay.
That's why the word region is in.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
I move to approve resolution 714-22 in support of the state-owned and operated mental health hospital in Sedgwick County region.
Second.
So motion is second. Any further discussion? Raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Move on to the consent agenda.
Motion for approval of consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Excuse me. A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to staff reports. Community Development Director Schrack.
Nothing this evening.
Parks and Public Buildings Director Owings.
Just wanted to bring to your all's attention that we have had a vacancy in our department from back in January, and we're happy to say that we would been able to fill that. The new gentleman will start next Monday on March 21st. His name is Nathaniel Adams. So happy to have him. He will be a facilities specialist in the buildings, helping out there. So
Cool. I'm not going to pass you up. Public Safety Director Newman.
Thank you, council, for that resolution. That's something, mental health stuff is something we've struggled with too on the police and sheriff's departments. I've attended a couple of meetings in the last 6 months in Topeka, one with the governor. Another one was a committee meeting that Kansas Association of Chiefs of Police and the Kansas Sheriff's Association attended and spoke about that. So it is a big need, and thank you for that. With spring, things are picking up for us as the weather warms up. So I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to both my fire and police department. They've been really busy lately, and I'm sure you saw a lot of that, whether it's in the newspaper or on social media. The fire department responding to the Cottonwood complex fire, and that was a long day for them, as was the house fire recently. The other thing I wanted to point out is after the last council meeting, so I waited until this one to talk about it, just so I'd have the final numbers. I'm sure you all remember and aware that we participated in an auto theft task force in the Wichita metropolitan area. That ended the Thursday after our last meeting. And during that time, that short time they were together, and there was less than 10, I believe, on the team. But we were a part of that the entire time. They recovered over 281 vehicles, made countless arrests, and recovered a lot of drugs as well. But the dollar amount recovered during that time was a little over $3.4 million.
Wow.
Recovered stolen property. So that was a big deal for them. They worked hard and did a lot of good, and I think it'll end up coming back. It's kind of the task forces went away for a couple of months, but they're going to revamp it. There's a lot of businesses in Wichita that I think are probably ultimately going to fund that task force and keep it going. So anyway, just wanted to talk about that.
I just have one quick question. In the case of the fire that we went out, the grass fire out there, or more than that, how does that work? I mean, I know that's not part of our mutual aid area. It
is through the Wildland Firefighting Task Force that we signed up.
Okay,
for.
that's where I wanted to.
Activated, and we went under that agreement.
Okay, that's where I wanted to know where that came from. Not that I'm complaining. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, if we got somebody to go deal with stuff like that, no matter where it is.
We started off with the grass truck. By the time we got to Mays, they were really in need of an engine or something with more water, and we ended up with our tender there. So which they refilled a lot of trucks. They help fight for structures or try to protect structures as well. And ended up being a good thing having the tender there.
Good. Thank you. Public Works Director Eggleston.
Thank you, Neil, for reminding me. We too had a vacancy in the streets department, and it was recently filled, and he started Monday of this week. Name is Stephen Rich. Thrashers.
Okay. City Engineer Shear. Listen, I'm going to tell you this right off. I'm really ticked at Golka for leaving on a week I'm not here, okay? So when you see him, you slap him upside the head for me, okay?
Let him know.
All right.
So I introduced myself last week,
Okay.
but I missed you and Councilmember.
I was
Bass.
watching, which is
Okay.
why I knew, I saw it was, I was screaming at the computer going, oh, I'm going to
And
get
song
even.
and dance and
Yeah.
it skipped off happily ever after. So I don't have anything further other than just saying hello.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And let's see, next two are missing, Mr. Clark. And I know it's struggled. You seem to be hobbling still, so the back must still be.
Long story, Mayor. I'm going to defer the first part of my segment to Christy. So there's going to be a two-parter.
Maybe not.
I don't know how many of you get the messages or the post from the Kansas League of Municipalities. They are having the Governing Body Institute in April. It's on a Friday and a Saturday, so it's a possibility that some of you may be able to attend. If you do, let me know and I can sure get you signed up, or I believe all of you have access now to sign up yourself, but this is a great opportunity to learn more about what the governing body can, should, not do. So we also have 2 copies of their latest governing body handbook. If you attend the Institute, you'll get your own copy, but we have 2 here at the city. Brent has one that is loaned out, and then I have another one that if you would love to find out everything, it's a lot of information, a lot of materials. Maybe it's good to have a refresher for people that have been on the council for a while. So 2 different things. You can just borrow this, or you can sign up, or both.
Council, I just want to comment on that, especially for our newest member. Attending at least one of these during your term is highly, highly recommended. If not for anything but taking the COMA and CORE classes that they put on. As we all know by the school district, if we read the Ark Valley News, they got their hands slapped for their violation of the Open Meetings Act, which personally I was shocked when I actually read that initially, because I knew right off the top of my head that they were going to get their hands slapped at least. It's crucial that we know the rules when it comes to those 2 things. It's very important. However, it's also a great opportunity to get to meet other elected officials from other parts of the state. I've met some great people from the smaller towns way out west. Boy, I can tell you from personal experience that we don't have half the problems a lot of these small areas do that are out west in the county. But yeah, if you get a chance, I'm hoping with my new job that I will be able to go, because I want to go take this one as well. So, but that's all I had on that subject matter. Now that we don't have anything else to do, we can move on to the governing body. No, go ahead.
That's fine, Mayor. All I was going to add was thank you to the mayor, Councilman Colbert, and Councilmember Gregory for attending this past Saturday. And more importantly, Jim Gregory for your amazing hospitality when we hosted the Central County Association of Cities this past Saturday. Without all you, we could not have made it possible. So thank you. That's all.
Okay, we'll move on to governing body reports. Yeah, by the way, he was great serving coffee. He had the donuts going. I mean, he walked around. He took real good care of us. So lucky you.
I know.
I don't want to get into, I'll let one of them talk about more than of what happened in that meeting since they are more involved in it than I am. Other than that, I have nothing else. Councilmember Stam.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Evans.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Bass.
I just want to say I appreciate the patience that everyone's had with me missing these last two meetings with my son's basketball games, and that era is over. And I do want to congratulate the Hornets, the boys basketball team, on a good season. And they ended up losing to Capon, but they fought hard till the end. I do have one other topic. Quite a few Valley Center residents in my ward have brought forward the issue of golf carts. So I know this has been an issue that's brought up before, and currently they can take those golf carts to the golf course only to and from. Is that correct?
That is.
Is there any way we can looking at that ordinance? Is that possible?
Everything's possible.
Okay.
If you'd like to bring that up for discussion, I'm sure we could do something about getting that back on the meeting agenda.
I'd appreciate it. That's all I have.
Councilmember Anderson.
I have nothing.
I did have one more thing I forgot. Have we tracked down the new owners of 145 Meridian? The burned out house? Do we know? Okay. Because I'd like to see that removed as soon as possible now that it's no longer under her ownership. Okay. Sorry about that. Councilmember Gregory.
Regarding the Sedgwick County Association of Cities meeting Saturday, I want to thank Brent Clark for all of his help. We really, really relied on him too, and he came through. It was great. We had 10 mayors there, as I think you've mentioned. Was impressive. That's the first time that's ever happened. Out of the 20 cities that are members, we had half of them attending. So, and we had a lot of nice comments about our community center. Where Main Street Valley Center, by the way, is meeting this Thursday at noon here in City Hall.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilson.
I have nothing, sir.
Councilmember Colbert.
I'd just like to add some remarks here. You might be interested in some of the bills that are coming out of the legislature lately. Senate Bill 546 it deals with transportation and autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
For the future. The other one is the Advanced Voting and Election Laws, HB 232, that in the appointment process, it's also has some changes made for the coming years. So you might want to take a look at that. And also to add my words for the SCAT meeting, that was one of the largest meetings we've had. Really? Everybody was very impressed with Valley Center. He liked the conflict between Park City and Valley Center going on. So that was nice. Other than that, there's only one other thing that I think we need to talk about sometime in the future is if the bills, if you want me to still keep informing you some of the bills that are coming up, let me know, because now I have a tap in directly to Topeka, thanks to the CAB board, of the latest bills coming up. So
I find it very informational. I mean, I get the emails from the league, but yes, no, I think that's definitely something I want to see you keep doing. So
yeah, because it's these are laws that are on the books. They're not being passed or anything. They're being discussed right now, but the legislative's only going to be in session for the next 2 or 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. So if there's any other business before the council?
I do have one more thing, since neither one of them mentioned it, and I didn't want to talk about it, but at the SCAC meeting, we had the operations manager for EMS do a presentation. They are putting together, they currently have a dashboard now on the county site, sedgwickcounty.org/EMS. They are improving it, and we got to see the beta of it. It is phenomenal. It will break down calls to any city through the hours. That's not available yet, but in the demographics of that is there. I know it's a lot of questions we always get asked about how long it takes for this, how long it takes to that. Once they have this fully online, anybody can go there and look and drill it down to each individual city. So it was really cool. As they put it, it's basically like the COVID page they had up, because it's the same guy they stole from them to build this for him. So those are their words, not mine. So it works a lot like the COVID dashboard did, but it's the full drill down isn't live yet. So I just want to bring that up. Councilmember Colbert.
Yeah, I almost forgot one thing. I'm glad you reminded me of. There is online program that you might want to take notice of. That's the Sedgwick County Board. The commissioners recommended a group on mental health and what can be done. It's in reference to a case, C.J. Thomas or something, that young kid that was killed down there.
Yep.
That's part of it, but the whole thing is now they're talking about mental treatment and what they can do and can't do. Other than that, thank you. If there's no motion or no other further business, make a motion and the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
Motion a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.